Hello all, Jamie Rogers here from Jamie Rogers Crafts, and today I thought we'd have a little look at a bit more inspiration with the Essential Christmas collection. We will be playing around with some of the dies. We'll also be taking a little look at the gemstone texture paste, as well as some stencils, and of course our lovely foiled panels too. Now all of these goodies are available from your favourite Jamie Rogers Crafts stockist, and if you don't have one as yet, check out the Jamie Rogers Crafts website, which is www.jamierogerscrafts.com, and have a little look under the stockist guide to find your favourite. Now let's delve in and have a little play. So for the first part of our card, let's start off by actually making this panel in the reverse here. Now this is created with our lovely gemstones texture paste, and today we're going to be using the diamond white. Now what I really love about this is how vibrant that white still is, even on top of dark cardstock. So it really does give you that lovely frosty, snowy feel to it, because it still stays prominent. So let's bring in a piece of our lovely black card. This of course is the black card from our Elite range of cardstock, and we're going to bring in our snow flurry stencil, and we're going to bring in just a small piece of tape to hold that down. Now I'm not going to do all of this, because even for my project all I need is a small strip, but we'll have a little play and show you how wonderful these are to work with. Now if you've not had any of our stencils before, you might not know this already, but these are actually done out of a slightly higher grade mylar than most people's stencils are made from. Now this is really lovely to know, because when it comes to playing with texture paste through them, it means we're going to get a slightly deeper impression. It also means that when we come to emboss them, and if you've never done that before using a rubber mat through your die cutting machine, you can create the most beautiful embossed effects with them. So it's a great thing to have that slight more depth to your actual stencil, because that's what's going to allow that depth of the card to really shine through, or of course in this case the depth of our texture paste to come into play. So again, just going down with our white diamonds texture paste. Now this of course is one of our gemstones texture pastes, and these are a lovely glitter suspended in a clear glue or clear medium. So when they go on, they'll be slightly wet looking, because that's obviously the medium in place. And then as they dry, that glitter is going to shine through even more. Now on the inside of my lid, I do tend to keep my silver piece in place too. It just gives that extra sort of protection against the air getting into our product and keeping that out, so it stays nice and fresh and ready for us to use. We can then remove our stencil very easily. Just take away our paste here. There we go. We'll pop that into some water so that we take off that excess texture paste. We don't want to leave that on there to dry. So in that goes. And then from here, we can see that already straight off the bat, we've got this beautiful snow background, which could of course be extended down the whole length of the stencil. We could match that stencil quite easily to do larger projects, or maybe we just want that at the top and then a little scene below. Maybe our lovely Rodney the Snowman snow stamp put in place, or some snow built up across the base here. One of the things I often find people forget when we're talking about texture paste is we know that we can do this with it through a stencil, but we tend to forget that we can apply it with brayers and paintbrushes, stipple brushes and bits like that, to create thinner grades of glitter and sort of coverage, and it can actually look really lovely with other mediums mixed in with them as well. Don't forget we're talking about a gluey medium here, so maybe you want to sprinkle in embossing powders or other glitters, sequins, any sort of product like that. Give it a little try, see how you get on, but they should add to your creation and your style and give you some lovely effects. Now once this is dry, I would just go ahead and trim this down, and this is the panel once dried. This is the one that we actually need for our card. So let's place that one out of the way and bring in a couple more pieces. So let's look at our card blank to begin with. Oh, we'll take out our foiled frame for a second. Now I've started off for today's project with a card. Now this isn't basically what we class as an 8x8 card, but it's actually just fractionally smaller. The envelope will be the 8x8 element. So it's about 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. I've then taken the front panel of this and I've just cut it on my guillotine down to 3.5 inches. Now you can do this with any size and dimension of cards. I love big cards, but I know a lot of people prefer smaller cards. So absolutely take that idea and sort of scale it back to where you need it to be for the project and size you wish to work with. Now I didn't want to cover this whole panel. I wanted to go slightly more modern, I suppose. So instead I've gone for a smaller piece of mirror card that's going to fit in the middle like a little strip. I've already gone ahead and placed some 2mm foam tape on the reverse of this. And this, of course, is our Jamie Rogers Crafts foam tape. Lovely, easy peel. And we're going to bring this in and place that down on the top there, just for that little bit of dimension. And then we can bring in our snowy background panel. Now I'm going to bring in my Jamie Rogers Crafts clear drying glue here. Now this is great because it's a white PVA as it goes on, but it will dry clear. So even if we get a little bit carried away and it comes out the edges, we have a bit too much, it's not the end of the world. You won't see it once it's dry. So we'll place that strip just going down around there. Now, already on the inside of the card for speed, I've gone ahead and I've used some more of our Raven Black Elite cardstock and our Gold Mirror card, and I've just created our mats and layers. And we can then bring in our foiled inkables. Now these are great fun. I don't know if you've seen these already. There is a circular frame, there is a square frame, and then there is, and that's in the gold, and then there is the same in silver. So 4 different options available for purchasing with these. They come in packs of 10 and they're actually 20 centimeters. So they start off life a little bit larger than this panel here. I'll show you on the reel just what I mean here. So I'll start off about that size each panel. And I purposely had these made with larger edges to them than what you're going to need. And that's so you can cut them into box lids, so you can form them, you can turn them into frames, you can cut down on 3 sides and leave this side longer, so you can put it in booklets, into little scrapbook albums and memory albums, brag books, and different bits like that. They're also great if you wish to die cut into them or emboss them or stamp on them. And of course, the foiled inkables bit actually is in reference to if you bring inks to these and you place ink over the top, the foil will resist the inks depending on the type of ink you're working with. If we're using dye inks, bits like that, even our Jamie Rogers Crafts quick dry pigment inks, they will resist from the foil and you will end up with lovely coloured panels with that lovely foiling detailing showing through. And that's just something I really like, because it means that, you know, we don't all have access to foiling machines, and even if we do, we don't necessarily have frames for them and different bits like that. It gives you that ability to have foiled aspects to your projects and gives you the ability to then colour match them to whatever project you're working on. So place that down into the centre, that's going to be our insert panel, and then we can start bringing in some die cuts. Now for this one, I've gone to town slightly. I've used 3 different die sets. We're going to be using the Festive Foliage set, which is JRCD 0013. We're going to be using the Classic Poinsettia, which is JRCD 0012, and we're going to be using the Christmas Scene, which is JRCD 0017. If you miss any of these numbers or names I'm giving you, do not fear. In the description to this video, they'll all be wrote out for you, so you can go and have a little look at what we've been using. Now we're going to start off here with the insert panel. We have got our little sleigh cut from our scene. This is just one of 3 dies that come in this set. You've got your sleigh and reindeers, and then you also have your trees and you've got your buildings. Now both of those don't have edge dies to them on 3 sides. So there is a blade running across the top of the trees, but not one on either end or on the middle part. That means that you can match it up and extend it. It also means that you can pick how deep you want your cut to remain, because it's going to stay on your cardstock wherever that may be. It also means that, for instance, you wouldn't want to do it in this instance, but you could trim your trees going across here and then form your card to be a different stand-up or style. But it means it will stay attached to the edge to give you that detail. We're then going to bring in our little sleigh and reindeer, and we're going to place that just coming out of the circle, so that we've got that little Christmas hint on that panel. Now we have just released some lovely Christmas verse stamps. You could easily stamp those in the middle as well if you wanted to complete this project. We're then going to bring in some of our different foliage pieces. Now I've gone ahead with some of mine already, and I've been a bit quick in what I'm doing, so I'll show you here what I mean. I've gone ahead with these and I've cut them out. Now you might not know this about a die, and it is something I go on about quite a bit, but just in case you've missed it or you're new to my videos, when you cut a die, you're going to of course cut out all of the detail and all of the elements. But if, like this one, you wish to have a colour go behind each of the pieces, but the die itself doesn't have that option, it doesn't have a separate outside die blade to it. Some do, some don't, and it depends really on how intricate we're talking. But with this die, that wouldn't have been possible to do, but I still want something to put behind here. Now, of course, you can trim out with a pair of scissors every piece individually and place them behind them of the colour that you want to. But the trick here is, When you send this through your machine, put your die on, put the colour that you wish to cut the actual piece from, so in this case white, then place on the second or on top of that the colour you would like to be the backing colour, so in this case gold. When that die goes through, 9 out of 10 times, and this does depend a little bit on the die and the machine you're using, but 9 out of 10 times it will cut all the outside piece perfectly, but the intricate inner pieces will remain in place and they'll stay there. They're not going to come out, they're going to stay there. And that means that we can then tease this one out of the cardstock. This one will cut perfectly. We can then glue that one behind this one, and suddenly we have got that little colour shining through where we need it to be. This isn't just a my die thing. This is an all dies, all machines. Give it a try, see how you get on. You can always, if something does come free from the back, you can always put a bit of tape on the back of it to neaten it up and keep it in place. But 9 out of 10 times that will work a dream for you. So I've gone ahead and I've done that for 2 of mine to place them onto the reverse of them already. Then we're going to bring in our other pieces. So we've got some lovely floral pieces here. Now we mentioned our classic poinsettia, didn't we? That die set is a lovely one because as it cuts, it also debosses several of the details. So when we look to this one, for instance, we can see all that lovely petal detailing coming through. When we look to the cuts, we can see that's transferred onto here, lovely. Once you've got your pieces, shaping them is really easy. For this card, I'm going to take these and I'm just going to pinch them into the middle to shape them up. If you would prefer, you can round them. You can also use a paintbrush or a paintbrush end to form them round if you would prefer more of a U or a V on them instead of a pinch. It can give you a nicer, smoother feel to them. But for mine, I'm happy to pinch the petals and have them form up in a 3D fashion. On the smaller, intricate layers to go into the middle of this one, I've actually changed up what I'm doing and I have rounded these with a bone folder. And I just like the way that you've got them 2 different styles coming in with the flower. You've got that sort of rounded style and that sort of pinch style. And when we start layering them together and building them up, that really creates a very pretty flower. I've gone ahead and I've already done this several times to actually form my completed flower. This one's got slightly squished in my demo pack while I've been waiting to film this video, but we can easily tease these back up to give a little bit more life and a little bit more 3D nature to them. But actually, depending on how we're going with them, I'm quite happy with that as it is. Then also in our foliage set, so we've had a little look at the branch here. There's also this lovely big holly branch too. And again, this one's a really lovely one. You can even go in and round the holly if you wish to, which we're going on this one. Or of course, just like we could with the poinsettias, that lovely crease line down the middle is pretty much embossed in there for you. So if you would prefer to form them and give them a bit of a crease, you can do. Again, it's down to you whether you pinch them or round them. So we'll just 3D that up slightly. We'll have a little look at where I think our flower is going to go. Feel our flower will land roughly where we've got it sat. So we'll bring in some glue and we're going to add this to the reverse. And we'll bring this one coming out from the top there. We're then going to do the same with the other one, but this time we're going to come down from the base instead. And we're going to let this protrude slightly out the edge of the card. And we don't want to cover up the sleigh and the reindeer bit, but we also want them to sort of join together and show there's a bit of unity there. We're then going to shape these little berry bits and we'll give them a little form and we'll place some glue onto the reverse of them and we'll place that into our little display. I'm going to choose to layer this on just over the top there. And I quite like doing this little gold piece behind the pieces because it then ties in the gold that's going through the rest of the card. We can see that all matching in throughout the project. So a little bit of glue onto that one too. We'll place that one over them holly berries as well. And then we can bring in our flower, finishing this one off. Add a nice big bit of glue onto the reverse of this one. And we'll place that down just over the middle there. And then as I said earlier, if you wanted to, you could finish this project off by adding a little sentiment in the middle. Maybe that be a die cut or of course a stamped sentiment. We of course have our circle sentiments, which are great dies that would fit in the middle of those as well. We've got a Happy Christmas and we've also got a Merry Christmas. And these would be quite nice proportions to actually pop into the centre of that if you prefer. Or of course, as I mentioned, we've got our lovely Christmas sentiment stamps that could finish this off as well. But I felt this was quite a nice, easy, fun project to create, playing between our lovely foiled frames, our scene dies, our poinsettia dies, and of course our foliage. So I hope that's given you a little bit of inspiration. If you would like to get your hands on any of the bits and bobs I've just shared with you in today's video, then check out our stockist guide. You'll find it on the website, which is www.jamierogerscrafts.com, and on there you will find the list of all of our stockists in the UK. We'll soon be adding international stockists as well, so keep a little eye on that list. In the meantime, several of our UK stockists do of course post internationally, so have a little look around and see what you can find if you would like to receive our products from around the world. But as I say, stockist list with all of our UK stockists currently updated so that you can find where to get the goodies from. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye for now.